Thought I'd do a quick video to introduce my Mustang project. This is what I'm going to start working on now that spring is finally here and it's starting to warm up. This is a Bendix Mustang I got off of the auction site. I got the fuselage only, and it was missing the bell crank when I got it. It's a little faded. Probably paid a little too much for it. The engine mount is broken. The lower cowl is broken. Like I said, I didn't get the wing. I traded for the wing. Facebook friend gave me the wing. It is damaged. You can see it's been glued together. I covered the outside here with stickers, and I'll probably cover the inside here with some aluminum tape and maybe add like a nickel or something to give it some tip weight. It's got this horrible bend to it, but since the object is to fly it, it's going to be okay, I think. As I said, the bell crank was missing. The way they were put together is there was a little like pyramid of plastic here that kind of held the bell crank in place. I guess that was some kind of crash protection theory from Cox, but the replacement part came with a screw, an aluminum screw. It was much too big. It would have completely destroyed the post. I don't know how you were supposed to install it. So what I did was thread the post and install basically what's a landing gear screw. And this is a later model Mustang bell crank with the hook on it, so you can tie the plane down and go wiggle the controls. And so I wanted to show you some of the intricacies of the interesting parts of the Bendix Mustang. I never knew that these race numbers were kind of molded in and painted. That's interesting. You see it has the dorsal fin, which was a late modification to the C model Mustangs. And you can see there's no rear cockpit windows, and that's kind of like replicating the Paul Mance Mustangs from the Bendix races in the post-war Cleveland, where he would actually fitted a aluminum cover plate over the windows because he had the aft fuselage filled with bladder tanks. So if you're not familiar, Paul Mance's wet wing Mustangs for the Bendix race were NX 1202 and 1204, race numbers 46 and 60. I believe Paul Mance flew NX 1202 in 46, 47, and 48, and he switched to NX 1204 in 1949. I don't even think he flew in 1949. I think he had somebody else fly it. So he might have switched in 48 to 1204 and switched the race numbers. So after racing closed out in Cleveland, NX 1204 I think was used in the Coronation Film race against it was between ABC and CBS, I think, or NBC and CBS. Then the plane 1202 was sold to Charles Blair, and he used it to do a record run across the Arctic Circle. His book is called Red Ball in the Sky. There's a really good book from Smithsonian called Excalibur 3, the story of a P-51, and it's about restoring Blair's Mustang. It's now in the Smithsonian collection, and it is preserved with all of the componentry that it had as a racer and a record setter, with the bladder tanks and stuff like that. So other than that, these Bendix Mustangs were molded in red and yellow. 1963. I think it's fascinating that Roy Cox had such a fascination with racing that he would actually put this out first as a racer. This is a very early, I guess would be the combat Mustang or military Mustang. I got it in a box from the auction site. I got this one really cheap. I think I spent less than $60 or $70 because the photographs on the auction were terrible. It was just the parts thrown in a box, and I think nobody was bidding on it because it looked like a disaster. But once I got it, I find it's in really good shape. It's a very early version with the Avion control handle. I haven't done anything to clean it up. The engine is locked up, but I have other engines, so that's not a big deal. But you can see the difference between the early Bendix molding has none of the rivet detail that they put into, a lot less of the rivet detail they put into the military Mustang. So they must have revised the mold. They obviously removed the race number, as you can see, but they added all these lines on the fuselage, the panel lines, this rivet details, more rivet details. I think the wing is basically the same. There's no changes to the wing except the color. But you can see these, the underbody, these are smooth. The tail wheel areas are smooth, and I think they added, panel lines and things once they revised the mold. So it's kind of interesting. I've seen some guys that have, taken these Mustangs and painted them or chromed them and added that there's aftermarket decals that replicate this race number. But so I never knew these were molded in like this. So the Bendixes are super rare. I'm sure people think I'm crazy to fly it, but that's, I figure if I can get this flying, I'll be the only one flying maybe the only person alive that's flown a Bendix Mustang. This was a 1963 version. I think these came out like 65 or 66. So another interesting thing about the early Avion Bendix is this elevator, also pretty smooth. Much less cord than the later P-51s, and see they added a bunch of trim tab details and rivet details. The front end is broken, and you can see in here they have these little tiny teeth here that hold the engine, and these are, I haven't opened it, but I suspect these are broken. So obviously this plane, I don't know what happened to the wing. Maybe the wing was destroyed. It doesn't look like it's hit the ground. The spinner doesn't look damaged that much. There's a little bit of damage on the prop tips that I will, I'm gonna clean up. I'm trying to use as much of the airplane as possible, get it as close to 100% Bendix. The engine is not locked up. This one is locked up completely. But I should, I have other engines, and I can clean that. I'll probably clean that one out, hopefully get it unlocked. I thought I'd show you this. This is the later Miss America cowling, which I held on to. And you can see they added some reinforcement here where those plastic teeth are. So they people must have been getting annoyed that the lower cowling was so easily broken. It is interesting. I find Cox did have seemed like have an extensive parts distribution network. I guess they expected people to break them and repair them. I guess that explains why there's more engines out there for sale than there are complete airplanes, because I guess these things are pretty fragile. So I mean, I could put this new old stock cowling on it and fly, but I'm gonna actually repair the cowling and fly it with the repaired cowling, because I don't like to, you know, crash new old stock stuff if I can avoid it. I'm sure this Mustang would clean up really nicely and be a good collectible, but you know, for what I paid for it, I might as well just try to fly it. I did fly the D Mustangs a little bit. I find that they flew fine. I had a little bit of engine problem, and I had a little bit of cowling problems with the side mounted Miss America. I did put a alternate skid for the tail wheels, because I don't think these tail wheels are, I just imagined the first landing these would fly out and get lost. So that's the update for now. Hopefully the next step will be getting these two cleaned up and repaired, and then doing some engine runs to make sure everything's good. I did find the Mustangs, like, by the time you get it fired up and get out to the circle and release it, I think you're just almost out of fuel. It's like the tank is not very big. Certainly not as big as the Corsair or like a T6 or something. Again, I think it's really interesting that Roy Cox had such a fascination with air racing. I mean, the Mustangs started out as a Bendix racer. The Corsair started out with racers, orange with, you know, Cook Cleveland numbers, and silver with Cook Cleveland numbers. And then he came out with the rivets and the what is it, Super Sport, and it just seems like even the Curtis biplane would be considered, I guess, a racer, you know, because that's how he made his fame, was winning the races over in France. So anyway, that's it for this long ass video, and hopefully you'll tune in and see me fly them this year. That's all for now. Thanks.